the perpetrators, are they Pakistani Muslim?
So this form, child abuse exists in a wide range of ways. Yeah, we accept that. Child abuse can exist in the church, in schools, in the family, all of that. 100% agree. There's a wide range in which children get abused in this country, across the world, and it's all wrong. But this particular element, the grooming gangs, and what Rupert Lowe was trying to convey, this particular element has been ignored or covered up because of the racial dynamics. It is racist. The cover-up is racist. You know,
Cover-up is racist because... Why is the cover-up?
The cover-up is racist because the victims are white working class. If the victims, in this particular type of crime, if the victims had been Muslim girls, if the victims had been African Caribbean children, the state would be all over it.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
The cover-up is racist because it's inconvenient and it counters the narrative or the utopia of our multicultural society.
Agreed.
Yeah. So that the cover-up is racist, first and foremost. Secondly, these crimes were racially motivated. It's a fact, and it's a fact when you look at the evidence from every angle you want to. Okay, for first and foremost, the perpetrators who have been caught, who've been convicted in the courts, have clearly said that they targeted these girls because they considered them culturally to be inferior Western white girls, slags, whores, asking for it. It's part of their culture. Yeah, fresh, white, all of that. Yeah. So all of that what took place. Secondly, it's religiously justified because these men also religiously justified what they did, to the point where in Rotherham, when a group of them were convicted, when they were convicted and they were being led out, they were shouting Allahu Akbar. God is great. They believe what they're doing is religiously justified. Now, to understand this, so first and foremost, Emily's completely wrong. Rupert is right. These are racially motivated crimes. They are racist on a whole host of levels. First and foremost, the state covered them up because the victims were white and the perpetrators were Pakistani and Muslim and from a minority ethnic background, because it countered the multicultural utopia that they want to promote in this country. So first and foremost, that. Secondly, the motivations of the men who committed these crimes, they were racist and they religiously justified their actions. Thirdly, when you speak to the survivors themselves, the survivors clearly say they were targeted in a way because of their ethnicity and their religion, and when they were being raped and gang raped and being abused, when they were being hit over the heads with baseball bats, had various bits inserted into them, being cut. The horrendous testimony that the state, by the way, now is censoring from coming out.
Why is it censoring?
So the Shabana Mahmood, the Justice Secretary, also Pakistani origin, she's refused the court transcripts.
In the name of protecting the dignity of the victims?
No, in the name of the court transcripts might be wrong, and they're waiting for AI to come along, and it's not in the public interest.
What do you mean they're waiting for AI to
come along? Parliament. She stood up in Parliament and said this nonsense. So there's a state cover-up going on here. It's an ongoing state cover-up going on here, but these were racially motivated crimes. The victims clearly were victims of racism because their testimony demonstrate that. Those who were tasked with intervening and protecting these children also claim that they were prevented, for one, through personal interest, for fear of being called out as racist because of who the perpetrators were. And secondly, because senior officials, not the frontline staff, but senior officials had stopped and intervened and said, no, this is about maintaining community relations. There was a police officer recently, Charlie Peters interviewed him, a guy called John, I forgot his second name, you'll have to excuse me, Detective Chief Inspector. He came to see me in January, distraught. He's from Oldham. He was a retired Detective Chief Inspector, went and worked for an NGO, rescuing children. He followed a grooming gang all the way to a children's home in Bradford, where these Pakistani men were picking up children. The police contacted him, someone from the council contacted him, Bradford. He went to a meeting, there was a senior police officer there, senior council officials there threatened him with arrest if he continued, because they had a good thing going on there with the community. These girls were just sacrificed in the name of community relations, but it gets more sinister. it gets more sinister, and Emily Maitlis and the others haven't gone there yet. And this is probably where I take it and I get arrested for. It gets more sinister because some of the most senior politicians in this country led some of these councils at the time. They knew about it and they actively covered it up. They actively covered it up. The paper trail proves they actively covered it up. The leader of my council at the time, a man called Jim McMahon, now Secretary of State, works under Angela Rayner. I think his portfolio includes extremism, Secretary of State for Local Government. And he is neck deep in the scandal.
Would Lord Ahmed be an example of this? So
Lord Ahmed, who was convicted.
He was convicted of child sex offences, but back in the, I think in the 90s actually, but the conviction was more recent, but the offences happened, but it was attempted rape of a boy and rape of another girl.
And this is cultural. And I go back to this, and it's painful because I have many Pakistani friends, and people ask me, "Are you sure you're a Muslim?" I say, 100%. I go to the mosque, people stare at me, Winston, but I make a point of going, and going around different mosques on purpose because I have a responsibility, and people like me have a responsibility to speak out against this and go back into the communities and not be ostracized by them, so they can't disown us. One of the attempts to try and incite my murder at the time was by associates of the former council leader, the now again council leader Arud Shah, where they shared information that I was a Christian convert and homosexual, trying to disassociate me with the community and also trying to incite violence against me. And of course, the police never arrested any of these people in the way they arrested Lucy Connolly. They're very selective when it comes to what they consider to be inciting violence. But what took place with Lord Ahmed, and I articulate this in the way I try and convey this, there is a dark history to the emergence of Pakistan as a nation. First and foremost, 1947 during partition. When the partition took place, the Islamist clerics incited horrific crimes against Hindu and Sikh women from as young as 9, 10. There were, villages at a time were raped. It carried on to 1971 when Bangladesh was formed and the East and West Pakistan fallout. The Pakistani government strategy was rape genocide. That was a government strategy. That was a state policy where queues of men from what we now know as modern-day Pakistan were lining up to join the army so they could move into what became Bangladesh. They set up rape camps and they collected children from as young as 9, 10, 11. And over a 9-month period, the official figures, as recognized by the United Nations, is 200,000. The unofficial figures is 1 million. They raped 1 million children and girls as part of rape genocide. Now, why am I sharing this with you? The grandfathers did this in 1947. The fathers did this in 1971. This is cultural. The gang rape of people you consider to be inferior, that is legitimized by the Islamist clerics, is part of the culture. And when they came to the United Kingdom, particularly from the area of Mirpur, when they came to the United Kingdom, they brought that culture with them. And at first, and you'll see online, you'll see the Sikh Awareness Society speak about some of this. First and foremost, they targeted some of the Sikh girls, the Hindu girls, and they also targeted the white working class girls. So this is cultural, this is racially motivated, religiously justified. And as a trained anti-racist, Winston, in any other setting, we would be going into those communities and saying, these beliefs, these attitudes you have is wrong. We do not do this here. This is not allowed. This is not accepted. But we are not allowed. This country yet is not in a space where it is prepared to look at the racist and religious prejudices that exist within some of the minority communities in the way it has addressed racism in the majority white community.
Thanks for watching this clip from the Winston Marshall Show. You can click here to watch the full episode. And for more clips like this one, don't forget to subscribe. And as always, be well.